Not so much anymore. The same people aren't coming back. This place is cleaned up incredibly well. And as I said before, you're probably at most once a month there's a guest in here. It's a completely different place. The only interaction that occurs between us and a guest in this room is they're just checked for any handcuff keys, things like that, stuff that they're going to use in here to injure themselves or to injure one of us if we're interacting with them. So their pockets get emptied of any materials like a lot of people carry utility knives now. If they're
what kind of knives?
Utility knives. Like box cutters, that kind of thing. Yeah. Especially if you're working in like a retail establishment where you're opening boxes and stuff. We see a lot of them, construction guys, that kind of thing. So we'll take that. All of that stuff gets put in a plastic bag, and it's all done on camera, so that they can't say, well, he pocketed 20, or there's no. You don't have to worry about your integrity being called into question because everything's right there. So that all gets placed in a plastic bag. The plastic bag is just left here on the desk, which is also on camera. And then that's all returned to them when
where's this thing?
It's just these plastic bags here. So it's a good size bag.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it holds really everything. So it goes in this bag. It sits on the desk here. The camera, again, it's on camera. So and then it's there until the original police shows up and then takes over. A lot of times.
And the Peel Police would only show up if they've been arrested.
That's right. Well, generally anybody in this room, we've had some people who've been lost or whatever, who just, I don't know.
Maybe if they're disoriented.
Yeah, this is a comfortable place for them because they're removed. They don't feel like they're in kind of a strange area with us sitting at the desk and doing things, and there's phones ringing and stuff. So a lot of people just kind of feel that this isolation is comfortable. The door's never closed, obviously. Peel would only attend here.
Just to interrupt. So the doors, you put somebody in here, and the door's never closed.
Oh, well, that depends. Now, if the person's under arrest, the door is obviously closed.
Okay. There
are times, though, that we've had people who really aren't comfortable with the door closed, and depending on what type of person they were, what the circumstances were leading up to the arrest, then we're okay with the door open. I mean, obviously, if it was some guy who was just crazy fighting on the platform or something, we don't want that guy to, just suddenly decide to get up and then he's walking out.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so the door does get closed, but that depends on the circumstances of the arrest, right? If it was a nice, calm person who, just needed medical attention, the door's open, obviously.
And for elderly, I don't suppose you get too many people here who are really confused.
Well, we generally have elderly people who are confused, but we like to keep them up where it's busy, because for them that seems to be, it's kind of calming, right? Yeah. It's distracting. They don't feel that they're being detained. They don't feel that they're being arrested. So it's easier to. I think the last. I'm trying to remember when the last.
Most just kind of need directions, don't they? Like to the bus or something.
A lot of times. Or what will happen though is we'll ask them for somebody that we can call, a son, a daughter, something like that.
Yeah.
Do they know their phone number? That kind of thing. We've had people just show up and not really sure how they got here. They got on one of our buses at the subway thinking they were maybe going up to Westwood or something like that, and they show up at Square One, and now they have no idea because this is not a place that they've come on a regular basis. So, confused. We don't like to bring confused elderly people down here.
I can see,
the escalators, the stairs, that kind of thing. You want to minimize all of the opportunities for them to injure themselves, right? So we generally like to maybe sit them down upstairs, where it's busy and walking around. If we feel that we're kind of gathering a crowd, right, just to protect their privacy and stuff, we'll maybe bring them inside. In the upstairs by it's the operators' washrooms. There's kind of like a little quiet area where not too many people go, aside from maybe drivers accessing the bathroom. We can take them there and talk to them, so we can hear everything, they can hear everything, and they're still in a private place where they don't have to worry about somebody on the bench next to them listening to whatever they're saying.
We've had many cases where we've had to do first aid.
Oh yeah, we've had lots of first aid.
People walk through here all the time that have seizures and that. And because we have that training, we know how to handle it, and based on the call that goes through to EMS, that's how fast they're going to get here.
Yeah.
If it's something where maybe they were walking out of the bus and didn't hold the bars, so the door kind of tapped them on the shoulder, but they're fine, they're conscious, they're walking around, there's no injuries, they're going to get here a lot faster for somebody who's in the middle of a seizure.
Yeah.
So we do what we need to do all the way through and assist EMS with whatever they need. And
we're pretty lucky with
our
location too, because there's a lot of services around, and I don't think we've ever waited more than 7 or 8 minutes probably for
Right.
for EMS. Like we're in a great area. We're right in the city center. We're it's the hub of activity. So all the highways are dumping people off here. All of the main routes here, Ontario, Burnaby, all that stuff. So we're able to get here pretty quickly. Fire department, I don't think we wait very long for them either.
Headquarters is right there.
Exactly. Yeah. So it all works out. We're in a great spot, and response times are good. But yeah. So just going back to the arrest, but we do have people who maybe they're arrested for something small. There was I don't know if I can give specific. Obviously, I'm not going to give a name, but there was a person who had alcohol problems and was constantly passing out on the bus, right? But she would board, intoxicated, pass out in the course of just being unconscious. Would throw up on herself and other people in the seats, and she wasn't really. For us, there's levels of drunkenness. Okay, there's transit drunk, which is you shouldn't be driving anyway after you've been drinking. There's EMS drunk, and then there's peel drunk, right? And EMS drunk is someone who's really not sure where they're going at all, is falling over, unable to care for themselves. Someone that I wouldn't feel comfortable with walking out the door because they're going to be hit by a car or something like that. Our peel drunk is the guys who are loud, belligerent, spitting, angry, non-compliant, asking them for information about where they're going, because we want to make sure that people get home safe. And if you can't tell us where you're going, you're calling into question your ability to navigate there safely. So generally we call Crew Regional Police, and those guys don't get arrested. We just kind of hang out with them in the bus shelter or walk them around in circles trying to sober them up a bit so that we can get some more information. But it's when they start getting angry and then causes. We've had officers shoved or punched, and that's when those guys get arrested. But those are guys that we would also close the door for. EMS, we'd bring them downstairs because if they're out on the platform, you're always worried about them maybe taking off from you and darting out into traffic or something. So we try and negotiate them coming down here and just having a seat, door open, relaxed, and that works out too because then, again, now they're in an area where there's cameras, where if something happens medically, something happens, maybe they just fall. We want to make sure that all that stuff is captured, and because it's good for you and it's good for them because you want to make sure that liability on both ends is covered, and that maybe they could explain some kind of a strange bruise when they got up in the morning. How that happened. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens here, and fortunately for us, the undesirable element isn't coming around anymore. Just the constant monitoring, making them feel that yes, we're watching. Welcome, but know your time to go. Watching the people that used to come here were just wow.
And when they do come here, they're quiet, they're silent, they're telling their friends now. As soon as they see us walk through, all right, let's get on our bus. We don't even have to approach them now.
Oh, yeah.
They just know this isn't the place to do it because we're not going to tolerate it. We're here not just for them, but for the safety of everybody. And a lot of people have seen how much this place is cleaned up and the whole system is cleaned up, and we're not going to tolerate it anymore. So. Yeah,
the problem though is that, like I'm saying, it's cleaned up here, but the problems have migrated. Now they're at South Common, right? And we can't be at South Common all the time because it's a big area that we're covering. We're going all the way across Mississauga into Islington, where our buses go. We're going up to Shoppers World and Brampton, and now that the Oakville Express is running, we're making hits. I'll call them hits in there as well, just checking on things because it's good for us to be familiar with areas and where things are and where the buses are going and how the people at those locations are receiving our buses and our drivers and things like that. It works out. We build a lot of relationships with other security teams, Square One, Primary Response, Shoppers World, because I think they rely on us, and Go Transit, we spend a lot of time with them too. You build relationships because we're able to give them information about things that we've seen because, especially for Go, we're around their terminals a lot more than they are because there's so many of them in Mississauga and all of our buses are going there. So we're able to pass on information to them and they're able to pass on information to us. So, and really, your security network is really only as good as the lines of communication between each department, right? So we don't, you're not really ever a standalone unit. You're sharing information with Square One, you're sharing information with Toronto Police, and Peel Regional Police, and so far we haven't really had any major issues. Everything's calming down. We're in this period now where everything's smooth. Everything is just, they come here, like I said, you look at them, right? You make sure that you make eye contact so they know, right, that you're looking specifically at them, and then they just kind of, get on their bus because they know that you've noticed them.
Yeah.
And now they're on the clock.
Oh,
we
yeah.
have our on the clock. Sometimes we just, especially people who come here and would hang out for 4 hours and gather a large group of friends, because we've talked to them so often, now we just look at them and look at our watch. And they're like...
And we know their names.
Go,
we know them either by their real name, we know them by their street names.
Yeah.
So even sometimes just walk up, okay, all right.
Yeah,
we know that you're here, you see us, so, have your stay, but know that you know your time frame, you know you need to be on your bus, you know how this works, and it also helps us to build a relationship. We've had ones that we've arrested. There's been really aggressive arrests and really calm arrests, and you can walk up to those same people today, and as long as you walk up and give that respect of, maybe they want their street name used, or maybe they want their real name used, and you just say, how's it going, make sure you and your friends are on your way, versus embarrassing them, or, walking up all big and tough. They listen to us now. There's that understanding. They give us the respect that we want, and if they even know a friend that we're talking to of theirs that's not being very cooperative, and we've had it where they've stepped in and said, all right, you're not doing anything wrong, they're doing their job, you did something, let's just go, let's just have this be the end of it. So it's really working out, building on the relationships with a lot of them too.
Yeah, a lot of our success has actually just been based on relationships. If you treat people decently, like they're human beings, and you're good to them, and show them that really, all you're really doing is helping them, to make better, positive choices about what they're doing and who they're hanging out with. Generally, the aftermath of any interaction that you've had is positive. I was driving along Dundas, and I can't remember who I was with, and there's somebody waving at me through this tinted window, and I'm looking, and we get up to the light, rolls down the window, and it was a gentleman that we arrested 3 times. 3 times here. And, and he was waving, he's like, hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you in forever. Obviously because he's driving now. So he wanted me to pull over and talk to him about this new job that he had, but we were headed somewhere else. And I think actually it was, we were in one of the blue cars, so one of the unmarked ones. We were doing plainclothes bus stuff. But he still recognized, and that's the thing. You don't want to create too many enemies. In this job already, you have enemies. So you don't want to, the most you can do is try and smooth things over and just let them know that you're responsible for things and that really you're just doing your job, and it's never personal. And that's one of the things too, is that you can't take anything personal in this job. They're calling you an ass because of the clothes you're wearing, not because they know you, not because they feel that that's who you are. It's because that uniform and what it represents to them is something undesirable. So it's a different place now than it was. We have our ups and downs just when different events are going on and things like that. But other than that, it's beautiful now. It's nice. It's manageable.
What you do is not unlike yard duty with teachers.
Essentially, yeah. You're basically, yeah.
Just
right.
visitance, being out
yeah.
there, being visible.
Yeah, and a lot of it actually comes from being visible too. You're out there. The fact that you're out there is also a deterrent, right? They're like, oh, well, that guy's 50 feet away. I'm not going to do that. We've been out on the platform in uniform and had a theft occur 12 feet away, and just saw the guy running, and then the guy running behind him. So. You're out there on the platform for when things happen. You're out there on the platform preventing things from happening because they see you and they just think better of it. And you're also out there on the platform just so that people know that you're there. That's right. Yeah, we've started this.
Having the plainclothes right with the officers too. Like
yeah.
I've been in plainclothes, walk right past somebody who's trespassing, who's not supposed to be here. They don't recognize me, so then I'm able to go and say, okay, uniform guys, let's go have a talk with somebody. They're not supposed to be here. So. Just extra set of eyes, and they're not looking at you, but you're able to see what's going on. It looks like you're just another patron, but really it's another way to keep this place safe and have everybody following the rules.
It is, yeah. That ability to blend in, fly under the radar, and just have stuff happen And unfortunately, the plainclothes thing, as much as it's proactive because it prevents things from escalating to a certain level, it's still kind of reactive. Something needs to happen in order for those guys to spring into action. But when they do spring into action, they've had that opportunity to think about it. Everything's coordinated and planned, and it's a great unit to have. I think, is this the second year? It started last January, and 6 months.